For you, Caroline, there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
Hey there, welcome to the ARNETT Files. I'm Andrew Arnett, and in today's episode, we are going to dive into the mystery of the strange deaths and disappearances of some of America's top rocket scientists, starting with General Neil McCasland. On February 27, retired U.S. Air Force Major General William Neil McCasland, 68 years old, vanished from his home in New Mexico. This was the kind of event that should have gotten more traction in the media than it did at the time, and the lack of coverage was probably due to outbreak of war in the Middle East on the following day. However, in the subsequent weeks that followed, mainstream media picked up on this story, which the internet has been following closely since the get-go.
Missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace, they've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short time.
The disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother in the previous month dominated the headlines for weeks. In contrast, the McCasland story was a slow creeper, and in my estimates, far creepier. As well, there are tangential connections with more far-reaching consequences to national security and other sensitive topics. Even more mysterious is that McCasland, due to his position of command, has many links to alleged UFO programs. Why did the general go missing? What did he know? Did his position in the military have something to do with his disappearance? Let's dive into this. It was on the morning of Friday, February 27, at about 10 a.m., when a repairman visited the home of Neil McCasland, located in the Quail Run Court northeast area of Albuquerque, New Mexico. There was a brief interaction, nothing out of the ordinary, and the repairman was on his way. His wife, Susan McCasland Wilkerson, was the last to see him as she left the house for a medical appointment at 11:10 a.m. When she returned less than 1 hour later at 12:04 p.m., Neil McCasland was gone, vanished without a trace, leaving behind a phone, prescription glasses, and wearable devices. What is accounted for are McCasland's wallet, red backpack, and .38 caliber revolver with leather holster. At 3:07 p.m. that day, Neil McCasland was reported missing. A silver alert was issued by the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office.
Are you able to rule out at this point that he was either taken or some type of harm has befallen him for what he knows? And piggybacking on that, what could that mean in terms of information that could be extracted from him? And would that put anybody else at risk? or even the community at risk?
Yeah, I can't speculate about some of that in terms of who may or may not be at risk based on what information he knows, and so I'm not going to. To answer your first question, can we rule out whether or not he was taken or something nefarious having occurred? We can't definitively rule out much at this point with what we have, which is why we're investigating every possible lead that we can. We do have surveillance video that captures both ends of parts of that street. We are combing through that, as well as surveillance that we've received from the rest of the community. We are combing through that. We've done in-depth interviews, not just knock on a door, have you seen this individual, but very in-depth interviews with everyone in the immediate area, and we have absolutely nothing that would suggest anything nefarious has occurred or did occur in that time frame for what we were looking at. So to answer your question, we haven't ruled anything out, but we have nothing pointing us to it either.
The ongoing search is being conducted by the New Mexico Department of Public Safety and the New Mexico State Police Search and Rescue System, with the assistance from volunteer teams. All resources at their disposal are being utilized, including helicopters and drones with troopers and canine units on the ground. The ongoing search is focusing on the Northeast Heights Sandia Foothills area. 700 homes have been canvassed, but here is the strange thing. No confirmed video of McCasland has surfaced, which show him leaving the area, and no direction of travel has been established. The FBI are involved due to McCasland's top secret past commanding the Air Force Research Laboratory. The case remains an active missing person investigation, and officials have said there is no confirmed explanation yet for what happened. As the search for McCasland continues, researchers and the media have been linking the case to the UFO phenomenon. What are the details of these links, and is there any veracity to these claims? On February 20, Donald Trump directed U.S. intelligence agencies to identify and release all files related to the UFO phenomenon. The initiative appeared to be, at least in part, spurred on by a recently aired interview with former President Obama, who stated aliens are real. Trump accused Obama of discussing classified information, calling it a big mistake.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirmed that the Pentagon was digging into the directive, though it could take time. Some have cited the timing of this initiative may in some way be linked to Neil McCasland, as he disappeared less than a week later.
Is there a question over here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, how does a law enforcement agency investigate cases like this when there's that conspiracy theory groups that come up with these outlandish claims or rabbit holes?
Well, just because it's crazy doesn't mean it's not true, but we have to look into the realities. And so we look into what's brought to us, and then we have to pursue what facts we can find, as the sheriff indicated. I appreciate that there's a community that wants to go down the rabbit hole of UFOs, I don't have a way with which to pursue that. And so those theories have to be set aside unless we were to find something that indicated that. So we can only go off of fact at this point.
McCasland's perceived connection to the UFO phenomenon comes from his leadership of advanced aerospace and space programs. McCasland's background as an astronautical engineer with a PhD from Massachusetts Institute of Technology led him to work in the fields of missile propulsion systems, space systems, satellite reconnaissance, and directed energy and advanced weapons. This overlaps with UAP phenomenon, as they are often described as exhibiting high maneuverability, propulsion, and otherworldly capabilities, which only someone with McCasland's technical background could evaluate or even recognize. McCasland's position as commander of Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, from 2011 to 2013 is another link. With a budget in the billions of dollars, the AFRL is one of the largest scientific centers in the Department of Defense, involved with advanced material sciences and future weapons research. In UFO lore, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, specifically Hangar 18, has long been rumored to be the repository for debris from the alleged Roswell crash in 1947. The implication here is that McCasland had overseen modern phases of a reverse engineering program that started decades earlier. With that being said, there is no official confirmation that UFO materials exist at the location. Post-retirement, McCasland became linked with UFO disclosure circles at what appears to be an advisory level. These connections surfaced by way of a 2016 WikiLeaks email involving communications between John Podesta and Tom DeLonge, referencing UAP-related disclosure groups. An email sent by Tom DeLonge on 25 January 2016 to John Podesta had the subject heading General McCasland. The contents of the email read, he mentioned he's a skeptic. He's not. I've been working with him for 4 months. I just got done giving him a 4-hour presentation on the entire project a few weeks ago. Trust me, the advice is already been happening on how to do all this. He just has to say that out loud. But he is very, very aware, as he was in charge of all of that stuff. When Roswell crashed, they shipped it to the laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. General McCasland was in charge of the exact laboratory up to a couple of years ago. He not only knows what I'm trying to achieve, he helped assemble my advisory team. He's a very important man. There's a lot to construe from this missive. At the very least, we have an indication that the general had more than just a passing knowledge of UFOs. Rather, he was in an advisory role and even a position of authority. As DeLonge points out, McCasland helped assemble my advisory team. He's a very important man. DeLonge's advisory team references disclosure heavyweights, including Lou Elizondo, Hal Puthoff, Jim Semivan, and a lot of others. McCasland's wife, Suzanne McCasland Wilkerson, weighed in on her husband's UFO interests, writing on Facebook, "It is true that Neil had a brief association with the UFO community. This connection is not a reason for someone to abduct Neil. Neil does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at Wright Pat." Wilkerson wrote about the ongoing search for her missing husband, saying, "Dozens of searchers on foot, both official and friends and neighbors of Neil's, horseback searchers, drones with different capabilities, helicopters, 3 different types of search dogs, neighborhood canvassing, and looking for ring or wildlife videos." Curiously, Wilkerson posted a follow-up comment on her Facebook account that some would consider cavalier, considering the gravity of the situation. She writes, "Maybe the best hypothesis is that aliens beamed him up to the mothership. However, no sightings of a mothership hovering above the Sandia Mountains have been reported." The 911 call from the wife of missing Air Force General William Neil McCasland was released to the general public about a month after his disappearance.
This is April. How may I help you?
Hi, April. My name is Susan Wilkerson. My husband is missing.
Okay.
And it's been about 3 hours, and I have some indication that he must have planned not to be found. He's left his phone. He changed his clothes into I don't know what. I think he's on foot. All of our cars and bicycles are in the garage. I left for a doctor's appointment at about 11:10, and he was here at that time. And I got back from that at noon, and he was gone. He turned it off and left it behind, which seems kind of deliberate because he's always got his phone. He has a smartwatch. I don't know if that's with him or not.
Has he ever done this before?
Never. Nothing even remotely like it. He's a retired Air Force Major General. He's very responsible, but he's also facing some medical issues.
Do you have any video at your home?
No.
Has he been diagnosed with any mental disorders or anything like that?
Well, we've been seeing a doc for both physical and mental in terms of anxiety, short-term memory loss, lack of sleep. The same doc I went to see today.
Does he carry any weapons on him?
Well, not generally. He does have a gun safe, and I went to look in the gun safe to see if anything was missing, but I couldn't tell if anything was. He has quite a number of pistols and rifles. Other than saying if his brain and body keep deteriorating, he didn't want to live like that. But it seemed to me that was just a, man, I hate how this is going kind of thing, because I told him, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay. We're going to send some deputies up to talk to you, see if we can search a little bit and see what's going on, okay?
Sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
As the McCasland case rolls on with few answers forthcoming, every day seems to take another sinister turn. His connection to another missing persons case is the latest bizarre twist. On 22 June 2025, 60-year-old Monica Reza disappeared while hiking through the Angeles National Forest near the Mount Waterman area, located 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. A multi-agency task force was deployed, including the Ventura County East Valley Search and Rescue Team. The Crescenta Valley Sheriff's Station sent Air Rescue 5 and advanced technologies to assist in the search. She has still not been found. So how is this even connected to the missing general? Turns out Miss Reza was co-inventor and patent holder of Mandalloy, a nickel-based superalloy utilized inside next-generation U.S. rocket engines. She has a long history of working for defense contractors, and most recently for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Here is the connection. Risa's research was funded by Air Force Research Laboratory, a lab headed by retired Major General Neil McCasland. The story gets weirder still. An unusual thing occurred on 26 June 2025, just 4 days into the search for the missing Miss Reza. As reported by the Sentinel briefing on Substack, someone had created a memorial grave for Miss Reza on the website Find a Grave, designating her burial as a green burial. Now, a green burial refers to a body that has been interred into the earth with no embalming. And if there is a container, then one that is biodegradable. It should be reiterated that at the time of the posting of the burial, the search for Reza was only 4 days in and in high gear. To wit, someone had declared Monica Reza dead and buried before any evidence to the point. Social media sleuths have reported that an account on X is in fact a potential burner account linked to the missing general. A burner account refers to an account with an anonymous profile created to discuss specific, often sensitive topics while keeping the user unnamed. If the account is in fact linked to McCasland, then it should be considered an important piece of evidence in this ongoing missing persons case. The account in question is Electric Propulsive Spacecraft Systems, which joined in November 2022 and was known to post often, if not daily, up until February 27, 2026. Then the account goes silent. That is the day that McCasland went missing, giving us the first clue of the link. The account bio reads Electric Propulsive Spacecraft and Spacecraft Systems Manufacturing, retired 38 years active duty, USAF, PhD Engineering, AFT/AETC/AFMC-UT/OU. This is in alignment with McCasland's bio in that he served in the Air Force Institute of Technology, AFIT, Air Education and Training Command, AETC, and Air Force Materiel Command, AFMC. Both the AFMC and the AFIT are located at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which were run by McCasland from 2011 to 2013. McCasland was commissioned in 1979 and retired about 2013, which is about 34 years, which is close to the indicated retired 38 years, quote, which may be taking into account his continued work in the field after official retirement, whether as consultant or otherwise. The UT/OU may refer to schools attended, but has not yet been identified, which is nonetheless consistent with obfuscation found in burner accounts. The disappearance of General McCasland is kicking the hornet's nest on a topic that has been buzzing in the disclosure community for some time, and that regards the safety of UFO government whistleblowers. Indeed, this was the topic of discussion in Congress at the hearing on 9 September 2025 entitled Restoring Public Trust, through UAP transparency and whistleblower protection. Everyone is hoping for the best outcome and that the general will be found and returned unharmed to his family. However, there are fears that the general's access to top secret information regarding advanced technologies may have led to foul play. Let's be direct. Was the general taken out by a hit squad for what he knows, or did he go into hiding? Consider this interesting comment posted on his X account. Most engineers retire to the free house on U.S. military base of their choice and choose to stay quiet for fear of being killed by Boeing and Raytheon hitmen. It is a remarkable statement, and if the account really does belong to McCasland, then the post may give us some clues as to the fate of the missing general. On a new episode of Weaponized podcast, hosted by Jeremy Corbell, Matthew Brown claims that UFO whistleblowers are being targeted by U.S. intelligence agencies and service members. Those targeted include himself, David Grush, Dylan Borland, Lou Elizondo, and others. Brown alleges the use of intelligence methods, disinformation, and psychological operations traced to legacy program security. Brown stated, worse than that, they are taking human intelligence methods and applying them to us in order to disrupt our lives, basically to drive us to commit suicide or become so ostracized from our friends and family that we are no longer a threat. Representative Tim Burchett chimed in on the subject, suspecting foul play is involved in McCasland's disappearance. As well, he feels the case is linked to a series of deaths and disappearances taking place over the past year involving U.S. defense officials and scientists linked to aerospace, astrophysics, and nuclear tech. Law enforcement is currently treating these incidents as isolated cases, but Burchett, as well as former FBI official Chris Swecker, are asking for a unified investigation due to the overlaps and potential threats to national security. On 27 March 2026, the New York Post identified yet another unsolved missing persons case that has the telltale markers which link it to the McCasland case. This case involves Melissa Cassius, a married mother who vanished on 25 June 2025. She was last seen on camera walking alone on a highway in New Mexico without her phone, wallet, or keys after telling her family members she was planning to work from home that day. Cassius works as an administrative assistant at Los Alamos National Laboratory, which is known for housing the Manhattan Project, which was, of course, responsible for developing the first nuclear bombs. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker told the Mail, in a classified lab or just a high clearance lab, they would basically be in the know on what's going on. And it wouldn't be the first time their administrative assistant has been targeted. Curiously, Cassius disappeared 4 days after Monica Reza went missing while hiking at a national park in California. The list of connections does not stop there. In fact, a link to 3 grisly deaths recently came to light. On 30 October 2025, it was reported that the deaths of 3 Wright-Patterson Air Force Base personnel in Ohio appeared to be the result of a double murder-suicide. The names of the deceased are 34-year-old Jacob Pritchard, Jamie Pritchard, 33 years old, and Jamie Gustitis, 25 years old. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base confirmed that Jacob Pritchard worked in the Air Force Research Laboratory. That is, of course, the same Air Force research laboratory that McCasland ran for a number of years. Now, Pritchard is accused of killing the other two victims and then himself. Jamie Pritchard, one of the victims, was married to Jacob, and she worked at the Air Force Life Cycle Management Center. The other victim, First Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis, worked on the 711th Human Performance Wing at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. According to the police, on October 25, Jacob Pritchard drove to the home of Jamie Gustitis, located in Sugar Creek Township. He broke into Gustitis' home at 2 a.m. and murdered her. According to the police, Gustitis lived alone and knew both Jacob Pritchard and his wife, Jamie Pritchard, through their work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Yes, I live at 1627, and my neighbors next door to me, there was people
1627.
out of Honey Tree Place. There was people out on their patio, a gentleman, and he was trying to get under their door. And I opened up my back door, and he said he had a gun to get back in my house, and he hopped off their patio and left.
1627 Honey Tree Place?
Yes.
Okay.
He woke me up out of a dead sleep. He was pounding on the door with something, and
Bang, this was your neighbor's door?
yes, my neighbor's door. I live in the condos.
Okay, wait, so how long ago
I don't
was
want to
this?
go outside. Just right now, it woke me up. My condo door's right next to hers. The glass door is shattered. I think they shattered her door.
So when you went outside, he told you he had enough to get back inside?
I didn't go out on my deck. I turned my light on, and I peeked my head out the door, and there was guys on her deck, and I said hello, and he said, "Get back in, we have a gun," and he jumped off the deck and ran, and my ring camera went off out front.
And he jumped off the deck. Which way did he go?
I didn't see because I came back inside. I don't know.
So the glass over there is shattered?
I heard like a shatter, like glass.
Jacob Pritchard then left the murder scene at 4:30 a.m., drove into the parking lot of the West Milton Municipal Building. Minutes later, Jacob Pritchard killed himself after leaving the trunk of his car open. Inside the trunk was the body of his wife, Jamie Pritchard, who was presumably murdered by Jacob earlier. His other victim, First Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis, worked in the 711th Human Performance Wing based at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio. Turns out the 711th Human Performance Wing, located at the same base, is also under the control of the Air Force Research Laboratory. 711th HPW was activated on March 26, 2008, and is one of 10 entities under the control of the Air Force Research Laboratory. As mentioned, Neil McCasland was in charge of Air Force Research Laboratory. Shane Christopher Frakes posted on X information pertaining to the 711th Human Performance Wing at Wright-Patterson. He writes, quote, "The 711th Human Performance Wing at Wright-Patterson has been conducting directed energy bioeffects research for over 50 years. Their own mission statement says, exploit the bioeffects of directed energy. They cover 100 kilohertz to 94 gigahertz out of what they call the world's largest RF bioeffects research facility. The Air Force patented the Frey effect in 2002, transmitting intelligible speech into the human skull using modulated RF. It turns out this is the same technology reputedly behind the so-called Havana syndrome. As well, Frakes cites a striking overlap between the symptoms of RF exposure to UAP encounter cases, including headaches, vertigo, burns, cardiac palpitations, etc., as discussed by Lou Elizondo. This connection broadens the overlapping areas which the disappearance of Neil McCasland touches upon, suggesting criminal intent with national security consequences. Representative Tim Burchett had this to say: "Something dark is going on. I know these scientists and researchers. They have testified. We've got to get to the bottom of it. It's just too much. Too much is going on right now. And by the way, I'm not suicidal." As the search for the missing general enters its second month, we are left with more questions than answers. As well, the list of rocket scientists found dead or missing continues to grow. The circumstance is untenable and may rightly be viewed as a national crisis. We have to ask ourselves, are these cases involved with UFO disclosure? Is someone trying to hinder disclosure by silencing those with insider information? These are the questions we will continue to explore on the ARNETT Files. Please follow and subscribe. I'm Andrew Arnett, and thank you for listening.